John chapter 14, going down and beginning at verse number 8. Philip said to him, that's what y'all Bible say? All right, so we already go. Philip said to him, Lord, show us the Father, and it is enough for us. Jesus said to him, have I been with you so long, and you still do not know me, Philip? Whoever has seen me has seen the Father. How can you say, show us the Father? Do you not believe that I am in the Father, and the Father is in me? The words that I say to you, I do not speak on my own authority, but the Father who dwells in me does his works. Believe me that I am in the Father, and the Father is in me, or else believe on the account of the works themselves. Truly, truly, I say to you, whoever believes in me will also do the works that I do, and greater works than these he will do, because I am going to the Father. Whatever you ask in my name, this I will do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son. If you ask me anything in my name, I will do it. That will conclude the reading for this morning. Father, we thank you. We bless you. Let your word go forth the way it should. Use me how you want. In Jesus' name, amen. We're going to use for our subject today, are you willing? Are you willing? There is an unwritten understanding that is believed by a lot of people. It's not that what it's believed is actually true. It has just become a common way of thinking that causes a spiritual deficit in the church. The understanding has become so prevalent that the devil doesn't even have to work as hard to perpetuate the lie anymore. He has used this understanding to keep the church operating way below than it should. And the understanding is this, that only deep, mature spiritual people can do the works of Jesus just as he did. That's the misnomer, that only deep, spiritual, mature people can do the works that Jesus did. A lot of believers believe that only apostles, bishops, pastors, evangelists, and highly chosen individuals can perform signs, miracles, and wonders. They believe that the people who are able to do this type of spiritual work are super deep in the Word. They believe that these people have a certain connection with God that is only designated to those who have something unique about their makeup. There has to be something, dare I say, weird about a person in order for them to have the ability to do these great works. That understanding has a lot about it that is just wrong. To imply that only certain people meet a criteria that is specialized in being deep for God is just wrong. A title does not give a person the access to be the vessel that God chooses to have signs, miracles, and wonders to happen. Yeah. If we just stick with that little bit, the signs, miracles, and wonders, the person performing any one of them is not even the major part of them happening. It starts with the recipient having enough faith that even if it's just a little faith, but enough faith that God will change their situation with a sign or a miracle or a wonder. That's what is part of that has to happen. It doesn't matter how powerful or how anointed or how deep or how officially titled a person is. If the recipient does not believe in what can happen to them, then the wonder will not work. It will just wander away. Okay? Let's say the recipient is willing to receive. Then the person who is the vessel to work the miracle has to also have the same thing, a willing heart. You don't have to be deep. You have to be willing. You have to be open to be the one God chooses to do the work. You ever wonder why we have so many people with titles, but we don't see a widespread of miracle working happening? Part of the reason is that the entitled ones are not willing to do the work. Now, there could be various reasons for that. Some may think they are not deep enough, or that their connection to God is not designated to perform these works. And some people believe they are called to preach, and that's it. They're not willing to explore further than their initial understanding of the call. They look at what they seemingly take to perform miracles and rule out their ability to do so because they are fixated on just preaching.
My Lord.
Don't get me wrong, I'm a preacher's coach. I train preachers. So I think concentrating on preaching and being the best preacher you can be is a very high priority. However, if you read the Bible, you will find that the great preachers also had more in their spiritual armory than just preaching.
Yeah.
They did works.
Wow.
Actually, they did just as many works as they did preaching. You can't study the Bible and look at Jesus' sermons and not find work attached to it. As a matter of fact, the works that he did usually followed a word that he gave. Now, not exclusively all the time, but in general, that's what you're going to find when you read about Jesus. So some entitled people may be trapped in the mindset that they are only meant for preaching, teaching, evangelizing, or Bible study. Then, there are some who may think they are not worthy enough.
Wow.
They feel like, I'm just a nobody, trying to tell everybody about somebody who can save anybody. They have reduced their effectiveness in the kingdom to just being a messenger.
Right.
Their capacity to do more is there. But their own view of themselves as being unworthy of the mandate on their lives stops their willingness to move past their current growth stage. They fear that if they were to ever be able to do more, it would only come at a special request from God and not on a frequent basis. Wait, you mean there is opportunity to be able to perform miracles, signs, and wonders on a frequent and consistent basis? If the recipients are willing and the worker is willing, then the Spirit will be willing, and those works can happen frequently and consistently. When Jesus was ministering in his hometown of Nazareth, the environment forced Jesus to not to be able to do so many miracles. The Bible tells us he can only do a few miracles because of the unbelief in the people. Jesus was willing, but the people were not. Can you imagine having Jesus on the ready to heal you, rid you of demonic possession, deliver you from addictions, and bless you with a sign that indicates freedom from poverty? And the only thing you have to do initially is believe he can do it. I'm going to ask that same question at the end of this message. But Apostle Sarratt, listen, I'm with you that the receiver has to be willing and the giver has to be willing, but we're talking about Jesus. He's the deepest of the deepest. His connection with the Father is the strongest out of anybody ever in the church. For Christ's sake, he is God. How can we compare ourselves to him? And that's exactly how the apostles thought too. For those who don't know and for those who need to remember, the Bible tells us that the disciples didn't fully understand everything Jesus was telling them until after the resurrection. They didn't get it either. But when you start reading the Acts of the Apostles or the book of Acts, you start to see this stuff happening. Wait a minute, Apostle. I read the book of Acts. The main people I see this happening with is through Peter and John. 3,000 people got saved in one day with Peter. When he preached, they all got saved. Peter and John had a paralyzed man healed. And we all know Peter walked on water with Jesus. And he was one of the first disciples to say that Jesus was the Christ, Son of the living God. So Peter was also deep and deeply connected. So I don't think I qualify. Well, let's look at the text. Who was it that asked Jesus, Lord, show us the Father, and it is enough for us? It was Philip. That's what it says in verse 8. Just in that statement alone, Philip is signaling that he doesn't consider himself any more than just a follower of Christ. And he's going to be satisfied with just seeing the Father. Philip said, just let me see the Father, and I'm all right. I don't need nothing fancy. I don't have to have a desire to be any more than what I am. You don't have to give me no title. Just give me a cabin in a corner of glory land. Just show us the Father, and it is enough. Philip even spoke for the whole crew. He said, show us, and it's enough for us. His own limited view of himself translated over to everyone should be just like me. Just be satisfied with being a believer, and that's all that's necessary. You ever heard somebody talk like that? All of the things you are doing, Jesus, that's just for special people like you. We just need, we, translate from I, we just need to see them. Can't you see how that thought process has infiltrated the church today? So many Philips, who mean well, have caused a delusional expectation that only special people can do the miraculous things that took place in the Bible. Even when you hear or read about a miracle that happens today, it's so fascinating and peculiar that the thought process is that there must have been a real need and the Spirit was with it. There's always a real need. The Spirit is always willing. Whenever you ever come into church and there wasn't a need for a miracle? This is a hospital for the physically, mentally, financially, emotionally, and spiritually sick. God's will is that we have life and life more abundantly. And many times, not just sometimes, it takes a miracle to change our circumstances. We have so many things in the church that we have stunted our spiritual growth. My Lord. We believe that there has to be a certain someone with a certain background, with a certain environment, at a certain moment for the work of the Spirit to take place. Wrong. Jesus responded to Philip in verse 9. He said, have I been with you so long? You still don't know me, Philip? He says, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. How can you say, show us the Father? You don't believe that I am in the Father and the Father is in me? He said, the words that I say to you, I don't speak on my own authority. But the Father who dwells in me does his works. Believe me. But I am the Father, and the Father is in me, or else believe on accepting of the works themselves. Jesus said, you believe who I am, don't you? You've seen the Father. Because it's God who dwells in me and does his works. When I speak, when I do works, it's not really me. It's the Father. You look at the person on the outside, but you should see the person on the inside.
So that's good.
Essentially, Jesus is saying, yes, I have a connection with him, and I have a deep spiritual foundation, but the only reason it works, the only reason I do these works is because I am willing to let the Father work through me. Then he says, even if believing that I am the Father and he is in me just because of what I say, that's just too much for you to grasp. Believe it based on the works I've done. He's saying, you know what you've seen me do. You know what people have heard what I've done. You know that those types of things have to be the work of God because those works don't just happen without divine intervention. So believe that the works are the key to believing that I and the Father have a connection that signifies that I am in him and he's in me. It takes some belief in the truth that Jesus is the Son of the living God in order for these works to occur. First thing you got to remember is that you got to be willing. Yeah. The only prerequisite to being willing is to be a believer. Jesus says, the Father dwells in me. He says, the Father lives in me. How do we have the Father live in us? His Spirit must live in us. How do we get his Spirit in us? We must believe that he sent his Son, Jesus, to earth, that lived, died, and was resurrected for us. Once you accept and believe that he did all of that, you have fulfilled the prerequisite. And now, the only thing left for you to be is willing. But where in the text do you see being willing is connected to filling? Stay with me. We're going to build this case. Look at verse 12. Jesus says, truly, truly, I say to you, whoever believes in me will also do the works that I do, and greater works than these will he do because I'm going to the Father. Jesus says, if your belief is intact, then you will do the works that I do.
Right.
If you believe, you can do what I do. If you believe that you are in the Father and the Father is in you, you can do what I've done. You can preach and heal. You can speak. Okay, so let me take preachers out of the situation because a lot of you say, oh, this is a preacher's message. Okay, let's go right here. You can speak a word and set people free from life-changing accusations. Come here, woman caught in the act of adultery. Jesus said to her accusers, you who without sin cast first stone. One by one, from the youngest to the oldest, they all left her alone. Jesus asked one, where's your accusers? Then he says to her, you're free. Go sin no more. He spoke to her a word that she was free. And she was free from all of those accusations that would have changed her life, even in her life. All right, Philip? Think about it. Jesus is just now hyping you up. He's telling you that you have the same ability as he does. You just got to speak the word.
Wow.
And stuff will change.
Wow.
He said, if you believe, Philip, you can do what I do. But Pastor, I believe that Jesus is the Son of God. Where the disconnect, because my belief ain't believing.
Right.
Look carefully at verse 12 again. Jesus said, whoever believes in me will also do the works. Not might, not should, not maybe, but will. See, that word will means to carry out. It means to execute. It means in the sense of to follow one and have the same mind or purpose in his actions. In other words, Jesus says, if you believe in me, whether you believe that I am in the Father and the Father is in me because I say it, or if you believe that because the works that I do, if you believe in me, you will also carry out, execute like you are following me with the same mind in the purpose that is set for you. Break it down. In other words, when you believe that I am God's son, you will execute works like the Son of God. When you believe that I am God's son, you will walk in my purpose and do works like me. And he follows it up with verse 13. Whatever you ask in my name, this will I do. That the Father may be glorified in the Son. If you ask me anything in my name, I will do it. And a lot of times, verse 14 is taken out of context to be applied to anything you want. If you ask in my name anything, I will give it to you. But here in this group of scriptures, it is clear that Jesus says, if you ask to do anything like I do, put my name on it, and it'll happen.
Yeah.
Put his name on it. You mean if I believe and I want to have somebody set free, heal, and deliver, all I have to do is put his name on it and it will happen? Yep. The reason why we don't see people set free is because we don't believe we are the one vessel that can make it happen. We think we think someone else has to be in a certain way because my stuff is jacked up, my life, my past is messed up. It has to go through somebody else. We think our belief is not believable. We think we don't have the qualifications to move heaven to allow us to happen. But Jesus said, "You will do it." The only will is you have to be willing. Philip, the one who asked the question, the one who saw himself as just a follower, the one who never even got the title of apostle, is the same Philip that we see in Acts chapter 8. When he is told by an angel of the Lord, go down south, go down from Jerusalem to Gaza. It's a desert place. And he went. He was willing to follow the purpose of God. God said, go to a desert place. He said, I'll go. Are you willing to go to a desert place when God says, go to a desert place? Because if you are one in the Father, and the Father is in you, then you have to understand that every time Jesus went to the desert, there was something miraculous that took place. Jesus was just like any Christian in the church. He was in the beginning just following and believing. And he said, I just want to see the Father. That's enough. But now that he understands after the resurrection that it's more than just being a believer, he gets the instructions from the angel of the Lord. And he says, God, whatever you tell me to do, I'll do. I'll do. And God just go to a desert place. And Philip said, I'm on my way. You should have said something 3 hours ago because I had already put my ticket in place. I was already on the train. You just told me to go. I was there before you said it. Are you with it? And as he gets down to Gaza, he runs into an Ethiopian eunuch. This Ethiopian eunuch was a court official of Candace. She was the queen of Ethiopia. And she was in charge of all he was in charge of all the treasure. He had just come from Jerusalem to worship. He was a sprouting believer. As he was going back to Ethiopia from Jerusalem, he was seated in his chariot and was reading from the prophet Isaiah. And the Spirit told Philip, go over to join his chariot. he was willing to execute God's command.
My Lord.
He had the will to carry out because he was willing. Philip ran up there. He heard him reading Isaiah. And he asked the man, do you understand what you are reading? He was willing to invite himself into the Ethiopian's life. See, that's where we're going to find a lot of people being separated on the left and the right, because most of us are willing to do God's work, but we don't want to be willing to get in somebody's business. We don't want to be willing to get into somebody's life, but I thought you wanted to see them healed. I thought you wanted to see them delivered. I thought you wanted to see them set free. You got to be willing beyond your beliefs. He said, how can I understand Isaiah unless someone guides me? Philip got in the chair and sat down with him, and he started unfolding a passage of scripture. And the next thing you know, the Ethiopian said, look, there's a body of water. What prevents me from being baptized? And Philip said, nothing, buddy. Let's get in. And they got down there, and Philip was getting ready to baptize him, and God whisked Philip away. The Ethiopian went on home, and you know what happened? A miracle. See, this part is what's left out of the historical understanding of what takes place. Because sometimes it just takes one little somebody to make a move for the kingdom that goes beyond their wildest dreams. Because now that Philip has witnessed to the Ethiopian, and the Ethiopian understood the camels of Isaiah, he goes back and shares it with his queen and with his countrymen. And now the largest church of the kingdom has developed in Ethiopia. You want some black history? There it is. The largest church that was ever created came through Ethiopia. And it took Philip, who says, I just want to be a follower, and Jesus said, you're more than a follower. You can do what I do. You will do it. And now that Philip says, well, if I believe that, I'll follow whatever God tells me. I'm here to tell you all today, you don't know who you're going to impact if you are willing. God may tell you to go to a desert place. He may tell you to do something that's strange. But if you are willing, you may impact a whole country. You have no idea what's inside of you. All you have to do is believe and be willing. You believe that Jesus is the Christ, Son of the living God, that he did come to this earth, and if he lived and was killed, died, and on the third day he was resurrected. That's the belief. That was what qualifies you. That's the only prerequisite. But now you get beyond that belief. You say, I know there's more for me than just sitting down here believing. Because I see my brothers and I see my sisters. They are going through too much. I feel like God has put me in their lives to show them how good God is. And God says, that's all I need was a willing heart for you to be willing to be a difference in somebody's life. It ain't about what you're gifted with. It's not about how much power you hold. It ain't no title that makes up what you got to do. It's about do I have the willingness to do God's will. And God says, execute, execute, execute. It's just like a military command. When it's time to strike, God says, execute, execute, execute. And all you got to do is be ready and willing. Oh, I'm ready, God, because I believe it. That's what makes you ready. I'm willing, God, because I'll do whatever you tell me. As soon as you go where God tells you to go, as soon as you get there, you just follow the lead of the Spirit. Why? Because he dwells in you. See how it comes back to the scripture. When God is in you, he'll tell you what you got to do. And when you get where the Spirit is willing, there's going to be a miracle that takes place. Are you willing? Are you willing? We got belief down there. Well, yes, I believe that Jesus is the Son of God. Okay, but are you willing? Jesus said, you're going to do what I did. Oh, but I like that part that follow right behind. See, you would think just doing what he did was amazing. He healed the blind. He set free those who were afflicted with demons. He caused the lame to walk. He even raised the dead. Oh, let's raise the bar. Then Jesus said, and you're going to do greater than that. You're going to do even greater. How didn't send you down to this earth to be a puppet.
Say
I didn't
so.
send you down here just to imitate me. I want you to be in the image of me. And the image is not restricted to how I left here. Ooh. The image is not restricted to the way I left here. I only came here and lived 33 years. You passed 33, you got more to do. Greater. Are you willing? Clap your hands and give him praise. You ain't got to be deep. You ain't got to have a title. Philip was neither. First became a believer. Then he had a willing heart. That's all it takes. Let me remind you, no matter how much you are willing, if the other side don't want it, they won't get it. There's nothing wrong with you.
Amen. Say so.
Jesus even instructed the disciples when he sent them out to do housework. He said, let the grace fall on the house. If they don't want it, take the grace back and shake the dust off your feet. Get the road jacket. Don't you come back. That's what he's saying, Pastor. I'm saying, let your connection with God increase so that you can discern the areas that you increase. Let me say that one more time. Let your connection with God increase so that you can discern the areas that you will increase. Sometimes we have cast out pearls before swine, meaning we have put what's valuable to be trampled over. A lot of people don't want to be delivered in a Jesus way. I just say it like that. Don't waste your time. Just ask God, where do you want me, God? I'm willing. Where do you want me, God? I'm willing. You'll be just like the prophet Isaiah. Send me, and I'll go.